Welcome to a road trip into the unknown. I'm a businesswoman and a Muslim born in Britain, but my family roots are here in Pakistan. And although this vast country has always been part of my life, it's a place I've never had the chance to explore.
In the middle of nowhere, they're speaking English, they're obviously really very happy.
This is the second half of my journey from Karachi to Kashmir. And I've now reached Lahore, the cultural capital of Pakistan. After Lahore, I'll be heading into the world's highest mountain ranges, then back through the country's political capital, Islamabad, and finally east to my family home in Kashmir.
That is cold.
What lies ahead is a 3,500 kilometre journey through a high-altitude wilderness inhabited by people whose way of life has barely changed in centuries.
It's really scary.
But I'll be travelling through a country that is changing, and changing fast.
We just want justice in this country.
Lahore is a shambling, glamorous relic of a place. It's noisy, overcrowded and polluted. But it's also a city defined by the glorious architecture of its conquerors, from the Mughals and Sikhs to the British Empire builders. And spilling out from those buildings is the sound of the city, Qawwali. Qawwali has strong roots in Lahore, especially here at Data Darbar, a 12th century Sufi shrine in the centre of the city. Every Thursday, Qawwali singers like Faiz Ahmed perform concerts in a crowded basement. Everything about Qawwali is celebratory, even the way you give money and thanks to the musicians. Each song builds in intensity for half an hour or more, with the aim of lifting performers and the audience into a trance-like state known as wajad, a feeling of being at one with God. At least that's the theory. But the audience here is quite restrained. To really see wajad, I've been told I have to wait for nightfall. Away from the bright lights of the city centre, I follow a large crowd funneling down a narrow suburban street. There's real excitement in the air, the kind of excitement that makes me just a little anxious. But this is my one chance to see Papu Sain, one of the true greats of Sufi music. He performs once a week at the shrine of a 17th century saint called Baba Shah Jamal. Shah Jamal preached his beliefs with drums and dance, driving his disciples into a rapturous state of mind. The audience all around me is getting sucked into a kind of rhythmic trance. maybe with a little help from one or two mind-altering substances. Papa Hussain doesn't preach at his concerts, but if you want drums and dance, well, watch what happens next and tell me if you've ever seen anything like it. But I also realise I've sat far too close to the action. As Papa Hussain winds up the intensity, dancers suddenly take over the floor and literally lose themselves in a blur of frantic whirling. I've seen of Sufism now, I really need to know how you can reconcile a spectacle like this with the Islam you see practiced in mosques. The next morning, I'm in the centre of Lahore at the Badshai Mosque. It's the largest in South Asia and arguably the most beautiful. Kamil Khan Mumtaz, a well-known architect in Lahore, is the authority, both on the building and on an important message encoded into the elegant stonework.
Can you tell me a little bit about it? Who built it?
Well, it was built by the Emperor Aurangzeb, who was considered the last of the great Mughal emperors. And this was done in 1673. For me, one of the really impressive things is that considering its size, it doesn't overawe or dominate you. You never lose a sense of the human in scale. Although it is one of the largest mosques, at least that I know of.
So everything really has such symbolic meaning to Islam.
Oh yes.
And,
yes.
and in Islam it defines how to build a place of worship.
Yes,
The mosque.
there's a wonderful play between function and symbolism. And that theme is then picked up in all of these decorations.
Yeah, because one of the things I have to say, which is striking, is that this place is beautiful. But I always find there's a conflict between Islam and beauty. What's your take on that?
I have a very clear take on that. Look, for me, Islam, the two unique aspects of Islam are its tolerance and its emphasis on beauty. Now, can you tell me any religion that places beauty as one of the three principal elements of the religion itself? Which explains why the Muslims produce so much beauty. Look, the stone here used in the dados,